Kindly look at my screen, guys. Now, here, okay. I'm sorry, guys. Having a second look here at the boxes. I'm not really happy. The boxes. Let's make it a bit more. Let's make it narrower. Um, ano yung official na sukat nito? This is 3 by. This is late cropped. Oh my god, so slow. Jesus. Ayun, okay. So officially this is okay, tama pala, joke lang. 6 by 3.5, okay? So mali pala yung in-export ko na ano. I got the wrong file or wrong size, so ito dapat siya. Yan. So this is good. So once again, guys, it's supposed to be 6 by 3.5. Yeah. So now you have well four thumbnails. Oops, dapat ganyan. Let's make it a bit bigger, like so. All right. So first things first. Uh, this is a requirement for all of you. Okay, kindly listen, guys. Narinig nyo ba? Your horizon line should be here, somewhere here. Okay, so here's the midpoint of the paper, right? So for our shot, we want it to be a bit higher than the middle of our canvas. So from here, it's supposed to be right around here. Okay, kasi we want the floor to have more space than the wall. So let's say, for example, here at the shot, kung mababa yung horizon line yun, you only have a few space left for you have less space left for your actual stuff. Okay, kung ganito yung shot nyo, there's gonna be more priority sa wall. So a good perspective would be something like this. Okay, medyo mataas. So a good starting point would be just a bit higher than the middle. Um, like like this, something like this. Ito na yung pinaka-extreme. Uh, this could be also good. Ang ganitong vantage point. Okay, so if I plot here the horizon, it's gonna be somewhere here, di ba? So medyo mataas. Okay, so just to make it official para ano, lahat tayo pare-parehas. Okay, let's just make it a third. One third. One third of the canvas should be where your horizon line is, more or less. Okay, you understand, guys? Horizon line. Understood? Okay. Now, afterwards, well, for me, I'm using Photoshop, so will just plot a bunch of lines here for my perspective. So nothing really serious. So you can use a ruler instead on your part. So establish a horizon line, one third, the first third of your canvas. Up here, like so, and then let me extend this a bit so I have space. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, so here we have the first set of lines from a vanishing point. Okay, the other, we're gonna flip it here. Well, you know what? Well, let's do that later. Okay, let's first establish our shot because it's really hard to draw something if it's already restricted by those vanishing points. So first, let's first explore. Well, uh, let's first imagine the shot without without having without having established the vanishing points. But we know that whatever we draw, whatever box we draw, it's gonna land somewhere inside this vanishing point. Okay, so let's say now I have here a wonderful tool. This is called PureRef. If you don't have this, you can download this. So it allows me to just um, put a bunch of stuff in in this canvas that I have. So let's say I have here a bunch of references, right? And let's say I want this. I'm just gonna copy this, paste it here, and it's already here. And then if I extend this, place it somewhere here, it's gonna automatically extend the canvas. And it's good to organize a bunch of things. So maybe you have the set here, you have another bunch of images on the other side. So this is helpful because you can just save this and well have this open every time instead of opening this in Photoshop and organizing your layout once again for your pegs and all that. It saves time. Alright, so let's start drawing the thumbnail. If Photoshop would let me. Jesus Christ. What's happening? Alright, so let's do this. So when you're doing a thumbnails, you want it to be a bit loose. And then let's say, uh, looking here at my references, let's say so I'm just creating here a bunch of lines where I want my space to be. Maybe it's gonna be like this. And maybe here is the wall. So here I'm imagining space where I want things to be eventually. So maybe here it's gonna be maybe a balcony or something. Alright, so maybe here's another wall, like so. And as I'm doing this, well, I'm trying to visualize what I want to include. So let's say maybe the bed is here. And then let's make this a bit smaller. Then maybe here is where the canvas would be. So you have your balcony of some sort. Maybe you have a chair here. So right now I'm just scribbling stuff. Then I'm gonna refine this further as I go along. Because right now I'm just exploring ideas. Then maybe I want the bed to be like this. Something like this. It's not a traditional frame for the bed. And as I move along, I think it's better if I have the horizon line like this. So I'm adjusting things as I go along. Then once I nail down the idea that I want, I could just lock down the horizon line. Then maybe it has to go this way. Like that. Then maybe let's incorporate the hang stuff here. Then maybe there's a frame here. Okay. Then maybe let's add some foreground elements. You know, maybe there's a bunch of stuff here. Bunch of stuff here also. So right now, I'm just throwing out shapes. And later, I will figure out what could these shapes be. So right now, just a bunch of shapes. Now I know this is going to be a balcony and then maybe there's going to be a bunch of foliage there. Because I want, for me, personally, I want this kind of setup where I could just paint traditionally with the view outside. Then maybe there's also a tablet here at the side. Here's the bed. Then maybe here at this blank area here, maybe there's a carpet like so, like this. And maybe there's a bunch of stuff here hanging around, maybe books, Maybe I like to instead of spending my time here at the bed, maybe the character here, well, likes to lay down on the floor. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff here. Because otherwise, this is a common feedback that I give to the students. Sometimes there's going to be a blank space here. And then this blank space here um, becomes a point of interest. And we don't want that point of interest happening here because, well, nothing's happening there. But our eye, as the viewer, we're attracted at this spot, which is something we don't want. We want our eyes to be attracted here or maybe here, either of the two. So as a solution to that, to avoid that, I added stuff there to make the eyes move because that's another thing that you want for composition. You want the eyes to always move to explore the the canvas. So let's say I remove this, the foreground element here. There's a bunch of blank space here. That sort of makes the eye stop. It also makes the eye exit at these corners. So in order to stop that exit, I will block it out literally by adding a bunch of things here. Right now, these are a bunch of shapes. I don't know what they could be right now, but I am just leaving them here. And I'll figure it out in a short while. So maybe right now, since I have a hanging element here, diba? I've incorporated this sort of hanging lights here. Maybe I'll change it to something more recognizable. Maybe something less fancy. Maybe it's gonna be like this. There's a bunch of hanging lights like this. So in order to sort of incorporate that design element to make it more unified, maybe I'm gonna add, well, hanging plants also like that. Maybe here. Okay, so now I've incorporated a design element again. That's what we call, well, uh, repetition. Okay, but it's not really super repetitive that it becomes too identical. So it's not really a perfect set that I replicated one by one. They have a similar idea that they're just hanging stuff, hanging vertical stuff, but there's enough variation that it doesn't get boring. So the hanging stuff here that's happening on this side is gonna be, well, plants. Then the hanging stuff here are gonna be uh, tawag doon. They're gonna be lampshades. Okay, so right now I have a bunch of big shapes, a bunch of scribbles of big shapes. Now maybe I could incorporate these smaller shapes. Now right now, guys, I'm thinking of shapes. So maybe I can add a small desk here where I could add shapes, smaller shapes, maybe paint brushes, paint tubes, and all that. So once I'm done thinking of the general shapes, maybe the shapes of this one, the shape of the bed, the shape of the foreground, the shape of the carpet, the shape of the desk, I'm starting to add smaller shapes to make, well, the shot more interesting. Now, afterwards, okay, so these are just scribbles. So what I'm gonna do here usually sa papel, I do this lightly and then I'm erasing it lightly using the kneaded eraser. And then from here, I'm gonna sort of um, move forward with the the drawing itself. So here's the shape of the bed. Now here, I was loose at the first stage. Now I will now try to nail down the perspective based from this loose scribble. So I would start to include that this is gonna be where my perspective is gonna be. So there. So now I don't have to worry about getting the perspective right since I already have the guide. So for the first stage I was a bit loose because I was prioritizing the the shapes, the idea. Now, the next stage of my thumbnail, I want to nail down the drawing. And let's flip it here. Oops. Then let's make it blue. And let's flip this to the other side. Maybe have it look like this. And then for now, these are distracting me. So let's have them here at the center. Alright, so now as you can see, I have a very rough perspective grid. It's not accurate per tile, but it's accurate in terms of getting the the vanishing points right. So all lines here go to a accurate vanishing point. I can use this to help me in drawing, so I don't have to worry about the perspective too much. Right now, I will start to draw maybe the bed. So this is the part where you apply your construction skills. So maybe it's gonna be like this. Now as you can see, I like to zoom out once in a while, because aside from actually drawing the bed, I'm also concerned about its position relative to the whole canvas or the whole shot. It's gonna be like this. Maybe there's gonna be a lampshade here. Well, not really a lampshade, but there's some stuff here, like this one. Maybe there's a small plant here. Then maybe there is a frame here. Then, so let's add here our hanging lampshade now. Here, I want to maybe move the canvas slightly, like this, to give the bed more breathing room. Okay, and then let's add here maybe the balcony. Then maybe here is where you have your desk. Okay, then maybe here there's gonna be a bunch of tables here. And here's the carpet. Then here's the corner of the wall. Maybe let's push back that corner, maybe somewhere here. Okay, and then we can have this space here course, there's gonna be a blank space here. Maybe we can add stuff like these, hanging stuff on the wall. Maybe for now, there are gonna be a bunch of drawings here, a bunch of notes, a bunch of scribbles. Then here, a bunch of smaller shapes. Maybe they can be paint tubes. Then maybe there's gonna be a drawer here. So as much as possible, I'm trying to create a variety of shapes. Then later on, let's say if we choose this as a final, we can push the drawings further. We can add more info. And then right now, I'm adding stuff here. Maybe there's gonna be, obviously, well, the pillows. Then maybe, I like the part here where there's a hanging, I don't know, hanging stuff here. Maybe, for me, maybe there's gonna be a hanging jacket here. Maybe clothes hanging around for character. Because once again, it has to be lived in. So there has to be a bunch of, well, junk. Maybe here, uh, maybe there's a trash can here. And then here, of course, maybe there's a canvas. Then maybe here there's a tablet. And of course, well, again, you also think of the functionality. Of course, you have a what you call this, a workstation. Of course, well, you need the chair, right? It's gonna be maybe like this. So as you can see, I'm pulling different elements that I like from each peg that I have here. Maybe it's gonna be like this. The chair is gonna be like that. Then underneath, there's gonna be a bunch of junk. So as much as possible, I'm trying to fill out the shapes or the spaces with meaningful stuff. So right now, you can see here a bunch of stuff underneath. They're not just unnecessary stuff that's added there. They're uh maybe old stocks, maybe an old painting here. Here's a trash can. Okay, here this one I don't know, but it has to be of purpose there. Then I like to have maybe this one, small drawers here at the side. Then as I zoom in, maybe there's paint brushes here. Here's the Cintiq. And then let's go back to the carpet and maybe there's a bunch of art books hanging around here. Maybe I like to scribble my ideas here. Maybe there's a pillow here as well. And then I'm gonna add a bit of design, a scribble for the design of the carpet. Just to show that this is not a simple mat. Maybe there's a bit of texture here to suggest that this is a rougher surface compared to the floor. Now speaking of the floor, okay, maybe I want the floor to be wood. That's just for me. Okay, so I'm gonna add a bunch of wood wood planks here with uneven divisions like that. Okay, then maybe suggest some of the texture, just suggestions, okay? Because if you look here, okay, guys, the the grain of the wood is not really apparent. It's not too obvious, so just lightly indicate marks there to show that there's a bunch of texture there. Now let's go back to the bed, and I have here, right, my peg. Okay, so let's show here the material. So it's gonna be a bit softer. So let's show some some fold for the bed. Then here let's add this divisions for the bed frame like that, and then let's follow the shape of that bed frame. Now, of course, guys, you can change the design. You don't have to be a slave for the reference. And maybe here, maybe there's a classical painting here. And then this shape here, there has to be, I feel like there has to be a shape that's like this, a bigger shape. So for me, when I'm composing stuff, usually uh, the design speaks to me. Kumaga, it tells me what it needs. So as you design stuff more, as you compose stuff more, you will get sort of an instinct of what you need more. And right now, if you don't still have that feeling of what to add, what to omit, that's my job as your instructor. My job here, as I check your thumbnails next week, is to to filter out the things that you need to remove, or things you need to arrange to move around, or to add. Now, for example, here I don't like the position of the trash can here, so I'm just changing the trash can and just making it to another drawer. Okay. Now here maybe there's a bunch of toys here at the foreground. Now I'm just not just making them again similar shapes. I'm creating a variety of shapes for the toys. Maybe there are smaller toys, maybe there are boxes here, maybe there's a plushie here, maybe there's a bunch of pencils here. Then now I'm just gonna darken them down to note that these are in the foreground. And then maybe, uh, let's see, maybe let's incorporate this window frame here. It's gonna be like this. So think of the functionality of your room, guys. Think of the story element. So those are the things that you have to think when you are doing your thumbnails. Then as I do this, I'll try to lessen there the what do you call this? The initial sketch. Maybe remove it altogether. Then again, I'm zooming out. I'm trying to check if my shapes are readable, if they look interesting. Well, right now it's okay, considering it's only a demo. It's serviceable. The drawing is good. The design is okay. But if I do this off stream or off the class, I could still push this further, because is another part of doing the thumbnails is you thinking. Sometimes I leave it for a while, a few minutes. I take a walk and think, then go back and think of, maybe I need something fresher design here. Now I'm seeing an interesting shape here. Maybe I can incorporate this one. Maybe this could be a clock here. Maybe there's gonna be a weird clock. And no, doesn't work. Just make it a traditional clock. Now the thing here, sometimes if a design element is too fancy for the rest of the room, it's becoming too distracting. So you have to tone it down, because you have to make the whole thing work as a whole. You don't want anything, one particular unnecessary element, let's say a wall clock. You don't want it to be too fancy that it becomes the focal point of your shot, because our focal point again is this one or this one, either of the two. You have to choose, because you can't have a workstation and the bedroom to have the same level of attention. You can't have them to be equal in terms of the focal point. You can have that in a painting or in a composition. You want something to be more dominant than the other. So maybe this one is the primary focal point, then you have the secondary one. One has to lead always because otherwise nothing will stand out. Okay, so you have to choose your main focal point. Okay, so well, that's how I do my thumbnails. Okay, now I like to do lastly. Okay, guys, this is what you should also do: is lightly shade one side for readability. You add light shadows to show the forms better, like so. Nothing fancy. Just think of it as shading with a marker. Okay. Now also, I would like to make this a bit bigger because as I'm zooming out, it's it's not readable like that. So the other shapes are good, very readable. This one, not so much. So that's another technique that you could have or you should do. Zoom out once in a while because you want to make sure that when you're doing a thumbnail from this distance, from this zoom out distance, it has to read well. You understand what's going on. You immediately understand, okay, this is going to be the bedroom, this is the workstation, there's a bunch of stuff there. Although if you can't really understand the minute details, but at least you have, or the reader can have an idea, okay, there's a bunch of stuff here. So you want to make sure, guys, the perspective is good because at least the space is very readable. Because if the perspective is wonky and then you have your sketches that are very rough, very loose, it's hard to gauge what's happening there. It's hard for me, the viewer, to understand what's going on. So have a good perspective, and then you can make your lines a bit looser. You can have your scribbles much looser. Okay, so guys, any questions? Any questions so far?
Me, sir. Can I ask a question?
Yes, yes.
So for this midterm project, sir, are are we going are so we need to pass it by next week, right?
This is just the first part of your midterm project.
What would be the second part?
The second part is you finalize one.
Yeah.
So we are gonna be you're gonna be exploring four ideas. Yeah. So imagine you have so imagine this is four, right? Right? It's gonna look like this, right? You're gonna place it like this in your canvas, okay? And then we're gonna choose one. So label it as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you choose one. Or I'm gonna choose one actually. Okay? Gets mo?
Yes, sir.
All right. So
Just for clarification, sir, what are the dimensions of the thumbnails?
sinabi ko na siya kanina, first thing in the morning. It's 3 by 6.5
3 by 6.5.
inches. Okay, so 3. Wait, no, 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 no. 3 by 5.6. No, 3 by 6. Yeah, 3 by 6. Okay, so here's your whole paper, and then you're gonna create 3. Is it 3 by 6? Kasha ba yun? 17, 3 by 6. Yep, kasha yun, kasha yun. Okay, 3 by 6.
Honestly, I did.
I will write down the format later sa Big Sky para ano siya, consolidated, but right now it's 3 by 6. Hindi ko na babaguhin yan, but I will write it down sa big sky para hindi nyo makalimutan. Questions pa, guys? You have questions?
Only for I'm so sorry, so traffic here. Um, on the four ideas one, it has to be all in one paper or four separately.
One paper. Thumbnails. These are thumbnails. I want to see them laid out in one paper. Okay?
I have another question, sir.
Yes.
So, uh, after we pass four initial thumbnails, sir, we get to choose one of them.
I will choose.
And
I will
what,
choose.
okay, you would
You
choose.
you show me what
Uh,
you show me what your preferred thumbnail is, and then let's see if your preferred thumbnail is good. I will choose it. But if I find a better one, I'll choose that. But the final decision is on me.
so whatever the final thumbnail we should use, we would be redrawing them again on another paper.
On a bigger paper, on the whole paper. Right now it's 3 by 6, right? So it's pretty small. Ganyan lang siya. Ganyan. So we'll choose one, then you're gonna be drawing that on the A3 paper,
Basically,
with the
sir.
thumbnail
Thank
as your
you.
guide. Okay? Nagets nyo? Nagets nyo ba?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, ulitin
Yes.
ko ha. So, let's say, you have 4 thumbnails here, right? Ito yung thumbnail. Pipili kayo ng isa, and then, we're gonna finalize that. And then, it's gonna be like this. Ganyan siya kalaki. Diba? Kanina, maliliit. Okay, 4 thumbnails. Then, next week, we're gonna start making it on this size. Okay? Gets nyo? Alright, so I will provide more clarification in a short while. Let's take a short break. I'll be back 11 a.m. just to further clarify things. Okay, you can start doing your thumbnails. Cat, no, it's supposed to be traditional. Traditional. Okay, so I'll be back, guys. 15 minutes lang. Me short meeting lang ako. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, wait for me. Okay, bye bye. I'll be back. Ulitin ko. So this is gonna be done on paper. So 4 thumbnails in one sheet of paper, your A3 paper. So each thumbnail is gonna be 3 by 6 inches. So create those 4 squares in your paper, and then you're gonna create 4 thumbnails with good perspective. Okay, 4 different ideas of a bedroom that has a workstation. Okay, those are the 2 main requirements. Okay, so remember guys, this is the initial part, the first part of your final slate. Ay, final slate, the midterm project. Okay, so anything that you do here will affect your final output for the midterm project. So make sure you include those 2 elements. Otherwise, it's gonna be a deduction on your points because you're not following instructions. Okay, another thing guys is you need to have colored lines for your perspective lines. So although yes, hindi pa accurate yung grid na gagawin natin, but I wanna see, okay, where your horizon line is. So for example, it's here, right? Nandiyan siya. So make sure that it's gonna be approximately a third or a bit higher. So yung 1/3 of the way is the minimum. You can go a bit higher if you want. So tingnan niyo sa akin, it's not really 1/3. It's a bit higher pa. It's a nudge higher. So I want to see where the horizon line is. And I also want to see the perspective lines. Using a colored pencil, and then you draw your rough sketches on top of your perspective lines. So once again, 4 of them, 4 different ideas. Okay? So you can switch around where the bed is, and then you can change yung setup ng room. Okay, baka may walang bintana, may balcony, iba yung material, so all those stuff. Okay, so just once again to help you out and think of those ideas, you think of the story, you think of the character that's inhabiting the space. So make it lived in, don't make it an IKEA display. And once again, finally, the deadline is next week when we meet face to face. So at the start of the class, bago mag-8, before 8, I will go around and check your thumbnails. If I don't see any thumbnail there, late. I think yun late. Okay? Because I want, before we start our lecture, the next part of our class, I want to have all of you to have an approved thumbnail already. So as I go around, um, as I check your work, you can feel free to discuss your thumbnails. Okay, sir, ganito kasi idea ko, ganyan, ganyan. Okay, you can show me your pegs also. Eh, di ba, lahat naman kayo may dala kayong tablet or laptop. Maybe on your phone, di ba? Just tell me, okay, sir, ito po yung pegs. This is the idea that I want. So explain it to me as I go around. Okay? So that's it. That's it for your plate for this week. Due next week morning.
Sir, I have
Yes.
one more question, sir.
Yes, yes.
For this, for the first part of midterm project, sir, but do we pass a soft copy online,
Yes, you also
like
pass
the
a
other
soft copy.
plates?
Yes.
Sir, question lang.
Yes.
So, by next
Yes.
meeting, we should have, basically, we should have on what we want to
Wait, come again, Mr. Honey Butter.
do.
Paano? Can you
So, sir, narinig po ba ako?
narinig ko kasi medyo muffled. Sige, lakasan mo.
Sorry, sige.
Ayan.
Sir, doon
Yan.
sa next week, should we have like a quote-unquote Pinterest board on what we want to do for each plate?
Uh, just compile your pegs in maybe a folder, slideshow lang, ganun lang. Para lang
Uh,
hindi naman necessarily Pinterest board.
so we won't execute the 4 thumbnails yet.
Well, you will execute the 4 thumbnails, but I wanna see the
Okay.
pegs. I wanna see, okay, so ito yung compilation ko ng pegs.
Sige po, sige po. Thank you.
Yes, four thumbnails. Any more questions, guys? You good? You guys
So,
good?
question I
Yes.
nailed the.
Yes, Juliana.
How do you, how do you get the peg?
How do you get the peg? Well, you search online. Wait,
Do we
what peg?
do we take a picture of it and then put it alongside the idea we have so we can see what we reference from or
Uh,
based it?
what you could do is just place them in different folders. So let's say for thumbnail one, sir, ito yung pegs ko. Okay? You save it, just save it on your tablets first. Then let's say, sir, thumbnail to ito, sir, yung pegs ko. Or you can opt to have a collage. Gawa kayo ng collage sa Photoshop that you can show me in class. So let's say here, right? So ito naka-collage. So ito yung thumbnail number 1 ko. Ito yung mga pegs ko. You don't have to go super duper in depth na, sir, tipong, sir, ito lahat. Pati yung every single detail. Hindi naman lahat. Just a general peg of of what you're trying to go through. Kasi when we choose the first yung thumbnail na napili yung isa, that's where we go more in depth into to finding pegs. Kasi details na yun eh. Okay? Does that answer your question, Juliana?
Yes.
Any more questions, guys?
Yeah. Ay, question po,
Yes,
sir.
Nicole.
Ah, ano po yung like mga hindi pwede gawin or like mga limitations dun po sa thumbnails?
Yes, good questions. Yes. It has to be grounded. Huwag nyo naman gawing sci-fi na ano. Make it grounded. Kung pwede namang fantasy themed, pero at least the materials are believable. Wag naman tipo may portal, ganyan-ganyan. Make it grounded. Believable pa din siya. Realistic. And yes, okay. Finally, guys, I forgot. The style, you make it as realistic as you can. Okay, hindi tayo, wala munang style. Sir, ganito yung style ko. Stylized, sir. Wonky lines. Ganun. Wala munang style. Make it as realistic as you can. Okay? So what do I mean by that? Well, ito yung, you can go this way, ito. This one is a good style for me. Okay sa akin to. Walang problema. Oh my god, there's a hint of style but not too much. Na tipong it takes away from tawag dun, yung focus of good drawing. Uh, teka, ano ba ba?
Excuse me po, sir.
Yes, yes.
Sir, I don't think you're sharing your screen po.
Yes. Oh my god, no. Indeed, I'm not. Ayan, okay, good.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Sorry guys, ayan, ito. So, ito, style. Kita nyo, this one's good for me. Of course, there's a bit of style. Meron siya, pero it's toned down. It's not too out there. Okay, here's another good example. Ayan, okay sa akin yung mga ganyan. Okay, so no fancy styles na tipong, sir, para tong Picasso, sir. Ganyan yung style ko eh. Modern, postmodern, sir. Walang ganun, okay? Uh, any more? Any more concerns?
Another question po,
Yes.
like about sa limitations again. But like, meron po bang limitation yung design? Like, nag-list lang po ako ng things na gusto ko ilagay sa dream room.
As
Like,
long as you can pull it off. Basta kaya nyo. Just make sure guys, ano lang, kumbaga, di ba, I give you leeway sa ideas. Just make sure you can meet the deadline. Okay? Yung deadline yan sa week 8. Di ba, week 7, yun yung ano natin, meeting natin, last meeting for the midterms, right? So, there's gonna be no lecture there sa week 7. I'm just gonna let you guys do your thing. Maybe there's just some pointers, some demos on how to approach some stuff. But for the most part, sa inyo na yun. Then I will ask you guys to submit this plate on week 8. Sa first day ng finals. Finals half. Okay, so tandaan nyo yun, okay? So you have approximately 3 weeks. 3 meetings to do this. Okay? Nasagot ko ba yan, Nicole?
apo sir, thank you.
Okay. Yes, guys, concerns? Okay na ba? You guys good? Okay, I think that's it. Wala na eh. You sure? You sure, guys? So if you have questions, just let me know on Discord. Okay, just DM me, tag me here, sir. You place it here sa questions and inquiries on our dito sa 2A. You just tag me there. I will happily answer your questions. And yeah, so good luck in your thumbnails, and I'm excited to see what you have next week. Okay, guys, bye bye. See you next week, face to face.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you,
Ay,
sir.
salamat po, sir.